Hey, so I'm going to show you how you can crop images to make them the perfect size for blog posts or Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. They all use kind of a standard size. And you can use this method actually to crop for any size that you're trying to duplicate, or if you have a perfect size for a banner. If you're just trying to duplicate an image that is positioned a certain way, and if you put an image in slightly different size, it may throw off the design. That happens sometimes. You need that exact size. So this will show you how to do that. And it's absolutely free. So there is a software. I use Photoshop, but a guy has created many years ago now a software called PhotoPea. And it's actually a Photoshop clone. So it works exactly like Photoshop. This is the exact same process I use for everything that I end up want to crop and whenever I'm making thumbnails. So all you're going to do is go to photopea.com. Don't have to do anything. You just start using PhotoPea. And what we're going to do is open from a computer. This will just take you to where you're going to navigate to wherever you want to go to get your image. And so you're just going to pick whatever image you want to use. This is going to bring it in. Again, this is going to look just like the Photoshop tools. Everything is exactly the same. I know there's some things that it's missing, but honestly, just for the basic stuff, this is totally fine. I honestly don't even know what this is missing because I've used some pretty advanced tools on here. So I'm just going to show you real quick just to see how big this image is. And this is great too because this is exactly like Photoshop here. View, show rulers. And so we can see this image already is over 5,000 pixels. So the size that you want to create your thumbnail images for your blog posts typically is going to be 1200 by 630. And that's a really standard size. It's used by Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. And I use it for every blog post just because it's so standard. I can use one image. It's going to work for my Facebook photos. It'll be what shows up when someone shares a link. So it's a really good size to use. It's important to note too here, you always want to start with an image that's bigger than what you're making it. So if I had an image that was like 800 by 640 and I wanted to make that 1200, I would either need to go find the bigger image or you can try to enlarge it with some AI tools. There's some pretty good stuff out there, but it's always best to start with a bigger image. So I always tell everyone that gives me artwork too, give me the biggest thing you've got. If you want to do some kind of a cool styling with it and a zoom in crop or something, send me that for reference, but give me the big one. Let me work with that to start off with. So you always want to work with the biggest quality, largest and highest resolution quality that you can to start with. You can always make it smaller. You can't make it bigger. But so what we're going to do here is go to our crop tool, which is right here. Again, looks exactly like Photoshop. We click that, it's going to immediately select everything here. But in this case, what we want to do is set this to be an exact size. We don't want to freehand it. So instead of free, I'm going to change this to fixed size. And that means I can now type in here exactly what I want. So if I want 1200, and if I just hit tab here, I can say I want this to be exactly 630. Tab again. Okay, now it pulls up this little bitty window here. But since I've set it to be 1200 by 630, whenever I finalize this crop, it's going to make this image 1200 by 630. So I can make this bigger or smaller, but I can't make it taller or wider because it's 1200 by 630. So I can make this whatever size I want. I can move it around if I click inside here. Say I want to get maybe that shot right there, maybe a little bigger. Okay. So if I want this, now I can just double click. I'm sure there's another way to do this, but I always just double click. Looks like, yeah, there's a check mark up here you could do. But you can just double click. And that's going to crop my image. Now, this was zoomed out because it was such a big image. So when it's 1200 now, it looks small on the screen. Still the same size. So we can zoom in with the magnifying glass. And in Photoshop, probably here too, you can hold Control, Scroll, or Alt. Yep, and scroll up. It'll make it bigger that way. Or just double click there. It'll take it to 100%. So you can see spacebar lets me move stuff around. It's just like Photoshop. Lets me see the whole image. So now I've got the image. I'm going to actually zoom out a little bit so I can see the whole thing. And so here's my image. That looks good. I want to save this as a WebP. So WebP is going to give you a really high quality with a very low file size. So for PhotoPea, you'll do File Export as WebP. And then it's going to give you a quality setting over here. So what I found is 85%. That gives me a really good mix of high quality and a lower file size. So if I stick with that, I'm just going to hit save. And that saved it automatically. In this browser, it goes to my downloads folder. So if I look in there, I should be able to see that. So it's right there. I can open it. It'll pop open in my Microsoft viewer here. And so there's my file. So this is now ready to go. So similarly, I could also just do this with any other size. So let's say instead of doing 1200 by 630, I wanted to maybe make a banner. So first off, I would make sure that I would define what my banner is going to be. So different websites will have different size banners. But let's say it was something like 2200 by 500. Okay. I can actually go to my history, go back to the original here. So that's my original one. And so instead of doing 1200 630, maybe I want 2200 by 500. Okay, so there's what that's going to look like. And I can, again, stretch this out to wherever I want. Move this to the right section. This would probably not be the greatest banner, but just to give you an idea, this is what you can kind of do. Maybe you want something like that. Whatever it is. And same thing, we'll just double click. Now we've got it sized. File export as WebP. And this will save it. So the other thing you can do, if you have a design, let me show you one real quick. Okay, so let's say I have a website here and it has some images. Let's say this image here. So this is, there's one image underneath here and it's not a standard size. And this one probably doesn't even matter if it was a little shorter or taller, but let's say I wanted to keep it this exact same size. So what I could do here is just save this image. And with the image saved, I can go back over here to PhotoPea and do file open. Okay, and then I've got this image here. So a couple things you can do. If you want to find out exactly what size it is, you could actually have just done this from the screen we were on when we saved it. We could have seen the size there. We can select all or Control A. Okay, so that's going to select everything here. And then in Photoshop, it's info. Let's see what it is here. Yep, it's going to be the same here. So window, info. And you'll see here, this is 579 by 543. So if I had another image and I wanted to, let's say this one, wanted to start here with this great big version, but I wanted this one to be the same size as this one. So 579 by 543. Same thing, we'll do 579, 543. So I've set that as my crop, and I can go back to this one, and there it is. So now I can position this wherever I want, double click, and now I've got this image saved here at the exact same size. So sometimes you might be, if you're working on like a team gallery or something, you want actually most of the profile photos, you want them to be all the same. So it's good to have a set size. It's probably going to be more square, not something standard. And this is perfect for that. Really easy to use, simple tool. Highly recommend this. Easiest thing in the world to crop stuff, save it as a WebP, get your images great for the web. There are plugins you can use. There's EWW, Short Pixel. There's several other ones that will take your uploaded big files and then reduce them. In my experience, it can slow your website down. It can add a bunch of extra stuff, and it also just causes problems, and it's never exactly what you wanted perfectly. So I always prefer to set my images correctly and only upload those. And I find that works much better. So hope that helps. Thanks.